Hello students, welcome to Learn Digital. In this video, we will talk about the fifth chapter, that is about classes and objects. And in this chapter, we will discuss everything about classes and objects from the book Object Oriented Programming with C++ by E. Balagurusamy. So let's start. We already discussed about classes and objects in the first video. So you go through that video and you continue this video. So first thing in the book, what they are talking about specifying a class, means creating a class. In that the class definition, the class definition. So class definition and class declaration. First, class declaration and then class definition. So this means we want to create a class, so we'll write like that, class A. And when we write like that, class A, means we declare that we are going to create a class called A. And when we want to define the class, so we give this second bracket, and we give a semicolon, and we write, suppose, integer A, B. Suppose this class has two variables or two data members, A and B, and a function. The name of the function is, suppose, add. And add function, suppose void add, and int comma int. So this is the function add, and these are the data members A and B. For the timing, we are considering a class A with these data members and member functions. So I am trying to remind you that class looks like data member and member function. So the name of the class is A, and this is the design. So when we want to create object, we can create object out of this class. So this is the declaration. We are creating a class A, and this is called the definition. So they are trying to talk about class declaration and class definition. And after that, we will discuss about the function definition. So add, we just mentioned that this function will be created add. So this is called the prototype of the function. So now we want to define. So you can define the function inside the class like this. Suppose C equal to A plus B. So suppose C equal to A plus B, and we have another variable called C. For the time being, you just consider. So we'll come up with many other examples, and we'll learn by examples definitely. So here A and B, we are just summing up, and this function is doing that, and this is the definition of the function inside class. So we got one idea that this function, what to do inside the function with those data members. Like this, I told that this function will work on the data members, in this case A, B and C. So we are doing summation. We are just setting up A and B and keeping in C in the function. Name of the function is add. So here this is called function definition, and inside the class. So when we define a function inside the class, is called definition. Defining a function inside class definition. Inside class definition, and this is the usual method. The definition of function is small, then we can do this. But when the definition of function is very large, so what we can do, what I'm going to show now, see, very easy. So I am trying to explain everything in terms of examples, so that you can better understand. You can understand and remember the things for long term. And only theory sometimes doesn't work. So we always having a class called A, we declare the class, and we are going to define the class like this, integer a, b and c. It's the same example, but now we will do other thing, void add int and int. So here this is called the declaration of the function inside a class, but the definition is not inside the class. So class is over, this is the data member, this is the member function, but the definition of the function is not there inside the class. So what we can do, we can define outside. So when we are going to define outside, it will look like that: void, then the name of the class a, and this is called another operator is called scope resolution operator, and the add name of the function, then the argument integer, in this case the temporary variable or local variable x, or formal variable x, integer y, suppose we want to create. So in this case we want to do this: c is equal to x plus y. So here this c is actually this data member c is equal to x plus y. So here this is called the definition of the function. So here see, here we defined the function outside the class. So this is another concept, this is 1 and this is 2. Then definition of function outside the class. Sometimes it is asked in exams also that define a function outside the class. So this is the example. So whenever you want to answer in exams, you just take the easier example or example program, and never go for the examples which are a little bit complex, which are there in the book. So don't never try to memorize program. If you try to memorize, then it will never come during the examination when you want to just write in the exam. So it is better to understand any concept with the fundamental or very basic simple examples. So in this case, always create a class, whatever comes in your mind, just data member very easily, or very basic data members you just keep, and just implement the idea, implement the concept, implement the So now I'm going to discuss the private and public access specifier. So for the timing, you understand what is private and what is public, and we will elaborately discuss about private, public, and another access specifier is protected. So we are talking about private, public in respect of class, data member and member function. So we understood one concept called data protection or data hiding, when this is a data and this is the function. So if these data are protected, it means this function can only access the data, and other functions outside from other class or from other function from the same program, they will not be able to access the data. So this is called data protection. So how it is possible to make the data secure so that it is not accessible by outside function? Here this keyword private makes it possible. So when you have a class a, here suppose integer a, b, suppose two variable or data member is there, you are having a function called suppose add. Here this function is accessing data, suppose cin, a b, and c is equal to a plus b, and we have another variable called c. So this is a function which is adding a and b. So in this case, when we will create the object of this class in main, a ob, suppose the name of the object, here we access ob dot suppose a. If we try to access ob dot a, if we try to give input to the variable a like this, it is not possible, because this a outside the function, outside this function add, is not possible to access a of that object from class a. So this is the class a, and out of this we have created an object called ob. So in ob we have actually data members a, b and c, and the name of the object is ob. So here a cannot be accessed in other functions. Here main is another function which is not the part of the class a. So here this is because this is private, this is private. We mentioned this data members as private. So if you do not mention anything, means by default it is private. By default private. So we are explicitly mentioning private, nice. And if we make the functions private, then there will be a problem. So this is not possible, as I said. So you cannot access the data member outside the class like that. Only the function associated with inside the class can do that. So how to invoke, how to call the function? So we can call the function with the object name outside the class in other functions. Here the function name is add. So how can we call add? Add is also a part of the class, member of a class. So how is it possible that we can call add function with the object name? So it is not possible if you make the function private. So it is better you make the function public. So generally the functions what we create inside a class will always be in the public section, and the data members will be in the private section, because we focus on data so that we can protect the data. Only the function can access the data. So this case the function we are calling in main, because our program starts here. We create our class here, the object of the class a, and we call the add function because we want to perform addition on this data ab. So we have defined how to add. We can complete the function also. So this addition function, when it will be called with the object name, these things will be executed. So we can call because this function is public, this add function is public. If you make data members public, then you can access ob dot suppose a data member in a public section. Suppose public section, suppose d is a data member, so you can access d like that. So you can input, give values, you can insert values inside d, you can print also here the value of d. So it is very good practice. You keep data members in private section and member function in public section, provided there are situations when we want to create some of the data members public, we want to create some of the member function private. The opposite of that, the situation demands. So in some situations we will try to do that, and these concepts are also there in and supported in object-oriented programming in C++. So this is called public functions and private data members in a data are private and functions are public. So public functions can be called with the object name. Object name. So let us go further. This is about private and public, and we will discuss about protected when we will discuss inheritance. So further we go to another section. If we want to make a member function private, if we want to create a member function private, it means class A, and here we have a data member private xy, suppose, and we have a function called, suppose, again add. I'm taking the same example. So here, if the add function is in a private section, then in public we have another function called sum, and we have complete the class. So here add is suppose x plus y. So if it is in the private section, so what will happen actually in main, when you create a class object of the class ob, when you call ob dot add, this is not possible because this member is a private member. You cannot call member private member, the member private member function in another function which is not a part of the class, the main. So it is not possible. So this is called a data member function is private. So when you create a member function is private, so what is the use of creating that? How can you utilize this function without only creating? It doesn't serve its purpose. So we have to call. What is the process of calling the function? We can do this. We can call this member function in another member function which is a public or private. So in other functions of the same class, we can call the function. So if we call add here, see, this add is private, so explicitly we cannot call in main or other functions which is not a part of the class. With the name of the object we cannot call, but if we call in the other function of the class, so only if we write the name we can call the add function. So if we want to execute this, so what we will do sum, because sum is in the public section. So object dot, we'll use the dot operator, the member access operator, and we will call sum. So sum will be called, and when you will go to sum, the definition of sum will be executed, and inside the sum definition you have add, the call to the add function. Then automatically it will call the add, and add will be executed. Then again it will come to this place, and it will go to the at this place when you return from the function call. So this is about making a member function private. So you can, so there are situations when we want to create a member function private. So go through the book, everything is written there, and I am trying to simplify what is written in the book, just to make you understand, because sometimes students they face problem while going through the book, because in book standards example and everything is written, so the guidance is required. So this is, you can say, it's a guide to make you understand what is the actual concept.